What's up, guys? It's Marcus from Perspective Sports, and today is our conference championship preview for the NFL. But before we do that, let's recap the divisional playoffs, specifically the Sunday games, which were very exciting. But before we do that, let's review the Saturday games. Both were blowouts. Atlanta dominated Seattle 36 to 20. Seattle looked like they came to play early in the first and then hit a wall. Matt Ryan and co took full advantage of the average Seahawks defense and their below average offense and got the big time victory over Seattle. The second game of the evening between the Houston Texans and the New England Patriots went from "this is gonna get ugly" after the first quarter to "we've got a game" at halftime, and then it turned into a full on blowout just as we suspected. Tom Brady, who actually struggled a little bit, well, I wouldn't say struggle, he didn't have his best game. I believe it was statistically his worst playoff game. But Dion Lewis had a great game for the Patriots. Julian Edelman also had a great day with 8 catches for 137 yards. Dion Lewis, I believe, was the first player to have a rushing, receiving, and return touchdown in a playoff game as the Patriots took a 34-16 victory and made an NFL record 6 straight AFC Championship game. Now for the fantastic Sunday night games that didn't disappoint. The Green Bay Packers versus the Dallas Cowboys looks to be the game of the year so far, and the Packers looked as if they were going to run away with this game when they took a 21-3 lead early before Dallas brought it back to be a 21-13 lead going into half. But then the Cowboys' big three also showed up. Ezekiel Elliott ran for 125 yards with 6 yards to carry. Dez Bryant finished the game with 9 receptions for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns. And finally, Dak Prescott, who looked like a deer in the headlights early on in the game, looked like the future of the league in the second half. Dak Prescott finished with 302 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. But with 35 seconds left to play, 3 plays of the game occurred. I couldn't just pick one play of the game, and the first occurred with a little over 18 seconds left, where Rodgers took a vicious blindside hit and didn't fumble. Because if he fumbled, Dallas would have recovered and won the game. The second play of the game was when that bad man Aaron Rodgers rolled out to his left and delivered the dime to the most underrated tight end in football, Jared Cook, who made a tremendous grab on the sideline. Also, a fun fact, Aaron Rodgers, according to Randall Cobb, just came up with the play in the huddle. He told the receivers what to do, rolled out to his left, and made the play. And in the final play of the game, when Mason Crosby extended his NFL record streak to win the game in regulation twice. But possibly the most interesting part of the game is that it was dead even. First downs, even. Both 6 for 11 on third down. Total plays, basically even. Dallas 64, Green Bay 63. This was a great game visually as a fan and statistically. And another interesting fact about this game, it had a higher rating, 28.2, than both the NBA Finals Game 7 that had an 18.9 rating in the MLB World Series with the Cubs in it. That was a 25.2. Let that set in. The final game of the divisional round between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Kansas City Chiefs with the defensive showdown. The game that came down to a 2-point conversion. Steelers kicker Chris Boswell earned his paycheck, going 6 for 6 with a long of 45. Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger finished completing 20 of 31 passes, 64%, 224 passing yards, and 1 interception. Meanwhile, Antonio Brown finished the game with a game-high 6 catches on 11 targets for 108 yards. Le'Veon Bell also had 30 carries for a record 170 yards with a long of 38. The numbers show the Steelers were able to move the ball but just not put it in the end zone, and they were lucky to get out of this game. As for the Chiefs, they didn't really attempt to run the ball, only rushing 14 times overall for 61 yards and a touchdown. Tight end Travis Kelce led the team in receiving with 5 receptions on 7 targets for 77 yards. Alex Smith had a very average day, kind of disappointing, going 20 for 34, 58%, 172 yards with a touchdown and an interception. Overall, it was a very exciting game, and it came down to the very end in a holding call that cost the Chiefs the game. So overall, a very exciting 2 days of games, especially the Sunday game, and it's now It's time for the AFC and NFC championship games. On the NFC side, we have the red hot Green Bay Packers traveling to the Georgia Dome to play the Atlanta Falcons. And this is a Week 8 rematch where the Falcons outlasted the Packers 33-32. That game was an all-out shootout. Aaron Rodgers finished the game with 246 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Matt Ryan finished the game with 288 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. And I expect more of the same in this game, and it really shouldn't be that much different. But as I said in my predictions video for the Packers and Falcons game, it will look very different because in said game in Week 8, the Packers are missing their top 3 corners, and with Randles and Rollins back, that could change the landscape of the game slightly. The Falcons still have a top 3 receiving core led by Julio Jones and Mohamed Sanu, so having the corners back will help slow them, but it won't stop them. Overall, the game should be more of the same in terms of being a shootout, and I'm going to keep the same score despite the Packers not having starting wide receiver Jordy Nelson because they put up 38 and 34 without him. So, although he is a big part of their offense, they haven't seemed to struggle really without him. Packers 45-43, just because I think the Packers defense will be able to make plays here and there similar like to the Dallas game that will eventually help them in the long run. In the AFC side, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to play the New England Patriots, as I predicted. And this game will be different because in their Week 7 matchup, Big Ben Roethlisberger did not play. So that meant Landry Jones took on the Patriots when they beat the Steelers 27-16. This game will obviously be very different. And the storyline coming into this game is very different from the NFC. The Patriots and Steelers didn't play great last week in the divisional round. Heck, the Steelers didn't even score a touchdown. If Boswell misses a field goal, odds are they would have lost that game. As for New England, Brady played one of his worst games, threw 2 interceptions in that game. He threw 2 all year long and then threw 2 in that one game. If the Texans had a legit quarterback and could have stayed in that game, it would have been very interesting. But that being said, they won, and this game will hopefully be very different. I'm still going with New England because Pittsburgh was 0-4 in the red zone, and you can't beat New England kicking 6 field goals, 4 inside the red zone. Obviously, they'll do better to correct it, but I have to go New England, but I'm changing the score. Pats win 28-24. So there you guys have it. I hope you enjoyed. Let us know who you think's going to win the AFC and NFC Championship and who you have playing in the Super Bowl below. See you later.